Right now, the world has about 8.2 billion people, and by 2050, we are heading towards almost 10 billion. That means more mouths to feed, but also more pressure on our food systems and the planet. One third of the food is being wasted and it's never eaten. Some of it is lost right after harvest, some spoils in the transport and storage, and a lot of it gets wasted in shops, restaurants, and even our homes. In fact, household throws away about 60% of all food waste. And what kind of food gets wasted? Mostly it's the healthiest stuff. For example, fruits, vegetables, milk, fish, and etc. While we have 2.3 billion people struggling to eat enough food. And for the climate, all this wasted food makes up 8 to 10% of global greenhouse gas emission and mostly methane, a super pollutant that heats the planet and pollutes our air, and it's very dangerous for our health. And that's why today, on International Day of Awareness of Food Loss and Waste, the message is simple. Every action matters, and reducing food loss and waste help us fight hunger, protect nutrition, save resources like water, land, and cut dangerous emissions. But the good news and the gossip is that solutions exist. And from smarter cold chains to food banks that are rescuing food perfectly and giving that good food before it is wasted to people that really need it and are eating that food. So that's why I'm very excited today to speak to our guests and gossip with Sandra about what are the solutions that they're doing on the ground and how we can learn to join these efforts.
Hi, Alva. It's a pleasure to be here with you today. You know, there's a lot of people working on connecting food systems and food security together with those working on mitigating climate change. And there's a really perfect opportunity to reduce methane emissions from organic waste. And so this is one of the places that those two are coming together. At the CCAC, we're working on this issue through what we call our Low M partnership. This is the Lowering Organic Waste Methane Partnership that we are working on with a number of CCAC partners, especially C40, Global Methane Hub, Gaia, and the Global FoodBanking Network, who's here with us today, among other CCAC partners. So this low M was really, the partners are coming together to support cities and to support cities connecting with their national government so that we are building capacity and getting implementation underway to really redirect organic waste out of the landfill. All of this work really led at COP29 to the first global declaration on organic waste, which was really exciting. This Roe declaration, reducing methane from organic waste, has now been signed by 65 signatory countries. And this important global movement is really catching on. We're really seeing requests and for support from all over the world to help achieve this transition more quickly. And so that's why I'm so happy that we have our expert here today, Ana, to help explain to us from her perspective at the Global Food Banking Network how all of these benefits can come together for people. And so Ana is the Senior Director of Strategy and Innovation at the Global Food Banking Network, one of our important low M partners, and she is here today to explain to us how the puzzle looks to her. So Ana, thank you for being here. And I'd like to pose a first question, which is, how does the work that you're doing at the Global Food Banking Network help to reduce super pollutants? Thanks. Over to you.
Hi, Ava. Hi, Sandra. Thank you very much for inviting me, and not just invite me, inviting us, invite all the community of food banks to share with you why now we are speaking about climate change when we were speaking about just about food security. We are speaking about now food security, climate change, how we can reduce methane emissions. Let's say, we connect with what Ava was sharing, the different elements of food loss and waste, the amount of emissions that the food waste is creating, methane emissions and greenhouse gas emissions. What the food banks are doing across the world, we are working in more than 50 countries, is working with producers, working with companies to prevent food loss and waste and ensure that every single kilo of food that was produced for human consumption is feeding people. Then the food banks are working with all these organizations, keeping the food in the supply chain and redistributing that food to people in need. That is allowing us to reduce methane emissions because we are preventing food waste. It's allowing us to reduce greenhouse gas emissions in general, but we are working to measure the nutritional contribution that the food banks are doing to the people that we are serving. And I just want to say that we didn't invent the wheel. What we are doing is following something that was already happening on the field. Food sharing is in our vines. We have been sharing. I just remember we have many soap operas in Colombia, where in the South Operas neighborhood are sharing the food that they are missing. Do you have some sugar? Do you have some rice? Like interchanging food according with their needs, and what's happening the same in the farms.
I'd really like to know, like, what made you motivated to do this and what do you like about it?
I will say that hunger is a big driver. Like knowing that we are privileged people, that we are accessing, that I'm not worried about if I'm going to eat today, but we know that more than 700 million people, they don't know if they can eat today or not. But at the same time, the paradox is between 30 to 40% of the total food that is produced for human consumption is wasted. It's something that is unbelievable. It's unbelievable. Then the reason is like we want to materialize in the lives of the people that we are serving the wellness. We not because we are feeding them, we are providing them the food that they need, because we are reducing the climate change, we are reducing methane emissions, we are reducing greenhouse gas emissions. If you go and review the data, the most vulnerable people is the people that is suffering the main consequences of the climate change. And they are the ones that know the greatest emitters of the greenhouse gas emissions. Then we want to close that gap, providing food and support the organizations. More than 50,000 organizations are receiving food from all our food banks every month to help the people in their countries and communities.
Ana, I have to say, I mean, that was just so eloquent, and it's really moving how you kind of see your work and your passion and your motivation. And we are going to be able to also kind of go on location at a local urban farm in Maryland where I live. And I think it's really the point of all of these more than 50 countries and the communities coming together and people helping each other and sharing in the most basic way to not waste food and keep food in the supply chain. I think that's really the solution we're talking about here today, is like the number one thing that should happen to prevent food loss and waste is that someone should eat the food. And so really, it's just an honor to be able to work with you and your organization, and just knowing how many people there are behind you. I think like we want to know for the audience, if people are interested in getting involved, what's your advice? How can people get involved in this mission?
Sandra, I would say that everything starts by us. Like there is not any collective solution. That was not an individual solution before. Then based on that, my first proposal is don't waste food. Don't waste food in your days. Like avoid, try to share food, eat all the food that you have, being more conscious when you are doing your purchases. The second one is go out and find a food bank and support that food bank in your community. You are going to find in our web pages all the links and the information about the food banks in every city and every country where we are working. Call them. We need many people to do volunteer work, operation work inside the warehouse, many people to convince other organizations, companies, farmers to prevent food waste, many people donating money, because something that women and in general social organizations, we are afraid to talk about money. But let me say something, without money, we cannot do anything. Then we need resources to pay for the trucks, for the energy, for the fuel that we are using, and to the people that is working in the food banks. Because even when the majority of the people that is working in the food banks are volunteers, we have staff We have a staff and a team in every country and city where we are working. Then the second one is go to the food bank and find how you can collaborate. And the third one is use your social media, all your social media to promote the food banks, to promote the work that we are doing, but of course to promote how you are doing to prevent food loss and waste in your house. And Sandra, we know that our expertise is in managing the waste. We need to move to be the experts preventing the waste.
So we're actually here today on an urban farm in the middle of downtown Silver Spring. Here with me is the board director of CKC Farms, where they're just growing an enormous amount of produce on just 1 acre of land right here in downtown. So Lynn Rose, could you please share with us a little bit more? There's like an extra special secret about where this produce goes.
There sure is. So CKC Farms, we have 2 farms, one here, the first urban farm in Montgomery County, and one at Loiterman Middle School. We grow food, and we grow people, and we grow community. And so that's a little bit about what you're seeing tonight. But you know what? We do something really special with our food, and it's what attracted me first to this organization as well as this farm. Half of this produce is not going to be sold at the market tonight, but half of this produce is going to go to Shepherd's Table. Who eats at Shepherd's Table, you ask? It's folks that don't have a home. It's folks that are food insecure. So we literally have half of our produce, and we produce about 8,000 pounds a year. 4,000 of that goes directly to people that can't afford organic, farm-to-table, farm-to-mouth kind of food. It goes right to them, goes right to their chefs. The chefs prepare it, and then they can be guests and eat this really good food that we've grown here.
That's awesome. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. We're happy to be here.
So the gossip is true. Food loss and waste is everyone's business. From farm to fridge, every plate counts, and we can act now. Thank you for listening. Follow us and tune in for more.